me before. And sorry about that, the repetitive jokes. I'll come up with some new ones next time. But
Okay, now we're recording, Andrea, just so you know.
okay, what we're about ready to see is what we usually have given our departments when they first see the dashboard as a drink from a fire hose. But for today, and since you're training and we're going to do it lightly, it's going to be a drink from a garden hose, just a little shorter version. Put a smile on your face. I love dogs. Well, with that said, we have always reached out to our departments, or when they're reaching out to us, at times when they're reaching out to us, it's because they're in a state of chaos. There's so many things, so many changes. There's new grants, the FIG grant. There is FAB accreditation. And by the way, is that the direction you're going with, Aaron, is towards FAB accreditation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything we're doing right now is really aimed toward accreditation.
Okay.
Not everything. Everything I'm doing.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And you need all the help you can get, with that. And this is what usually a person like Aaron, the accreditation coordinator, might look like, because you've got to have a lot of other jobs to do as well. And then when we take you through the dashboard, we get the whole picture. We're hoping that you're going to look and give you that breath of, okay, we've got a tool to lead us through this journey and show us the things that we need to do and have it all built in, and kind of just kicking back and relax a little bit more about the whole accreditation process. When we developed the dashboard, we developed it in a public health department here in Arizona. We kind of lived, ate, and breathed public health. So we decided we invested so much time with it, we never left public health. But the director at the time, he decided he wanted an operational planning and execution system. And this was way before FAB was born. Well, he wanted the Deming cycle. He wanted continuous performance improvement throughout every division, office, and program in his department. And I guess I quote that phrase of breaking down the silos of the different things that we do, because there's a lot of crossovers, and he wanted that plan, do, check, and adjust cycle built in. So when FAB came along in 2011, they had a fully demonstrated performance management system. The designation fully demonstrated, you probably already know, is that they have demonstrated that they can reach every level of their department and their external partners in the organizational success and their performance management. And that's that measure 9.1.1a. And that's when the dashboard, we named it VMSG dashboard, and we took it out to market to all the public health departments nationwide. We have about 240 of them using it now. When we decided to take it out to market, we also wanted to say, okay, if you AI or Google performance management, it's really geared, everybody thinks it's an HR product, but also performance management can mean, that operational planning and execution system, and being able to track and monitor all the things that you do. And the first step to that would be creating an operational plan. And all that is a specific group of people doing a specific activity in a specific time frame. Once that plan gets in the system, then you want to monitor how you're doing. And that's really important, because you want to monitor it not just on the macro level, which might be the director wants to see how we're doing over all of our different services and initiatives, or maybe how are we doing on FAB accreditation? Where are we with all these domains? That would be the macro level. The micro level is what we're going to try to catch before it gets to the macro level. So what that means, the micro level, every element of your plan can be monitored. It could be this particular domain has slowed down, or this particular grant, we don't have all the deliverables because that person's on maternity leave. We don't have enough widgets to install. So that would be the micro level of monitoring. Then being able to identify some indicators that the public might want to know on how you're doing on each service and initiative, but not getting all that nitty gritty detail. They just want to see a nice pie chart graph, and we're able to, what we do during the training of operational plan and development, we train you on how to develop that tool and embed it into your website, or this might be used to report to a board of commissions or to the state. The last step, that's the performance improvement. So we've got the plan in the VMSG dashboard, and we're going to show you how to build that plan. We're going to execute the plan. So we're going to assign all the activities to the people who are actually boots on the ground. We're going to check that plan through all the levels of monitoring, and then we're going to make our adjustments back into that plan. So that's that cycle. And as you well know, FAB accreditation is about a 5-year cycle, and it's going to go around, around, around. So is your strategic plan. And most plans that you have in the system, they have a cycle. Okay, when Fred opens up the dashboard, you're going to see a set of navigational tabs going from left to right. Well, the pyramid is to illustrate the hierarchy. So when he's going through those tabs, this is the hierarchy of those particular tabs, which are the first one you're going to notice is your department. Then the next tab down is going to be your different groups. And the dashboard has the ability to have not only just many, many different groups, but also subgroups. So if you're monitoring a division in your department, but they have several different programs, you can have subgroups as well. Each group has their own set of services and initiatives, what you're planning on doing in the future. And each service and initiative has their own set of goals. Those goals have objectives. Those objectives have activities. And this is where progress over perfection, I'll repeat kind of what I said in the earlier this morning, is that what we're doing is we're giving you a picture of how the dashboard flows. So you don't necessarily have to take notes. And think of this progress over perfection. So when all this information comes at you, you will learn it. It will become habitual. But just think that for the first few months, it's kind of just making the progress instead of trying to be perfect into the system. So Freddie, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okie dokie.
Is it my turn?
It is.
Okay. Thanks, Andrea.
You're
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go into the system live, and we're going to walk through, pardon me one second here. We're going to walk through those 3 phases Andrea described. We're going to develop a quick little operational plan. I know some of you have seen this before. We're going to go through a tobacco cessation plan. We're going to take that plan through its life cycle so we can see the various tools to monitor that plan. And then we're going to take it through the PDCA cycle to see how we can make improvements. So we have a little demo organization we call USA Public Health, and I'm going to take you live in there. So here's the main menu when you start out. Now, these are the tabs Andrew is referring to across the top. If you take that pyramid, flip it on its left side, here's what you have. So the organization is your health department. Groups is the basic structure of your health department, plus any of the what FAB calls their 6-pack of plans are typically independent groups, and some other larger plans in your system could be independent groups and subgroups. And groups can go down to 10 levels deep, so you don't have to worry about that. Nobody's ever gotten there. Each group has its own set of services or initiatives. Services being ongoing programs, initiatives being future programs you're trying to roll out. Each service or initiative has a set of high-level goals. Each high-level goal, a set of SMART objectives. Each SMART objective, a set of activities. So I'm going to go and click on my Groups tab here. On the very far left, you see this level column. This is the hierarchy. Level 1 is always your top. It's your department. Anything that reports to the department is a level 2. So here's the FAB 6-pack of plans, typically up here at the top. Then you have admin down here, and you see finance reporting to admin. Down here, we got a little farther, we have community health division, level 2, reporting to the department. Underneath that, we have tobacco and WIC as groups or subgroups under community health. I'm going to select my tobacco group, and when I do that, everything on the tabs to the right is within the tobacco group. So I'm filtering it down the pyramid as I go. So when I click on services or initiatives, we're looking at the services or initiatives specifically for the tobacco group. And we have 3 of them: tobacco cessation, secondhand smoke, tobacco initiation prevention. As we're moving down the pyramid, we're going to continue with tobacco cessation. And I'm going to look at the high-level goals for tobacco cessation specifically. Here we go. Reduce smoking in high schools. Reduce smoking in colleges. Reduce smoking in public areas. At this point in time, we also set this traffic light out there. And the traffic light is just really a simple visual indication of status. And it's pretty much exactly as you'd expect. You know, being a driver, you'd expect green is go. So everything's moving along. Yellow would be slow, something is potentially getting in our way. Red would be something brought us to a screeching halt. And then the gold bar would indicate successful completion of this portion of the program. Now, not everything will get to a gold bar. Reduce smoking in high schools, a gold bar to me would mean that we've completely reduced smoking. Well, probably not going to happen. So it's probably going to maintain green or yellow, something along that line. Now, when I say we're going to reduce smoking in high schools, it's pretty obvious what we're trying to accomplish. What it doesn't give us is any details. And that's what the SMART objectives are about. So here's our first SMART objective. Reduce smoking at my old alma mater, Wayne High School, by 25% by the end of the school year. So the SMART nomenclature in our terms is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. So if you're focusing when you're writing your objectives on specific, measurable, and time-based, you'll have something like reduce smoking at Wayne High School, very specific. Our measurement is by 25%, and then by the end of the school year is our time-based. So it's pretty smart, if you will. In order to get us to that particular target, so the objectives are a target. In order to get to that target, we're going to assign Steve Hansen here as our team lead. So the objective lead's got two jobs. Number one, he's the program manager to get us to this level. And number two, he's the guy who's going to update the current status. To update the current status, Steve is going to be getting an automated email from the system we call real-time planning. Typically, it's set up for a monthly cycle, but you can make it anything you want. So let's say every month Steve gets an email from the system. In that email is a link that takes him right back into this particular objective, and he'll go right down here and update the current status. Now, if you have a place that you can go to get that current status, like, for instance, maybe the CDC Smoking Cessation Fast Facts webpage is where you can get that information, we put in a data source. Down here is the link that takes us to that particular webpage. So when I click on that, it pops open a new browser tab and takes me to the Smoking Cessation Fast Facts webpage. And this is where I'm going to go down and find the particular information. Now, in this particular case, it may or may not be there, but we're just using this as an example in there. You can have data sources at the goal level, objective level, and activity level. So you can have lots and lots of different data sources. These data sources can be on your intranet. They can be on your file servers. They can be on the internet. Pretty much any place you can have a link, you can put the link in there. And the idea here is if you've got a place you're going to go to update this particular plan element, let's have it at your fingertips here. The notes and comments field is used pretty much anytime you make any kind of a change in the system. You're going to put a note in here that just defines what you did. Now, if you hit this little button right in front of it here, it puts the date, time, and person stamp in there. So you're seeing that at 3:25:24 at 8:30 a.m., Fred Erickson put the note in there. It says add a 25% plan reduction. The nice thing about that is you don't have to go back to Steve. You got all the notes in here as to why did this light get changed to yellow or whatever. I can look at the note and say, oh, I understand. I don't need to contact Steve and figure out what's going on. So the objective, the SMART objective is a target. We're going to reduce smoking at Wayne High School by 25% by the end of the school year. Doesn't give us a clue as to how we're going to go about doing that. And that's what the activities, or people call them action steps, are all about. And in the dashboard, and by the way, we're going to go into great detail on all of this when we go into the future trainings here. Again, this is just an overview to understand the kind of the flow of the system. But there are three distinct types of activities in the system. Project-based is by far the most common. Quality assurance and quantitative measurement. I'm going to kind of go through an example here, and we'll get into the operational planning training. We go into a lot of detail on these. But our first activity is we're going to create training content and materials for students and faculty on the dangers of smoking. We're calling it a project-based activity. So think of it. It's a project to create PowerPoints and to maybe create some video and to maybe create some user guides or whatever we need to go to the schools and do the training. Every activity's got a performance metric. So you got the activity. How do I know when I've successfully completed the activity? That's what the performance metric is. So if I'm creating training content, once I've created the training content, I'm done. We're going to put a beginning and ending date in there. Sometimes these change over time. Sometimes they don't. But you can go in here and update the dates. A lot of times the end date will change based on real life happening around you. Our measurement in this particular case is percent complete. So you can see it's showing it's 100% complete. And by doing that, it set the traffic light to gold for you automatically, indicating it's 100% complete. Down here at the bottom left, we're going to assign internal team members here. So I'm going to click on this little X, which will take me to the entire department. So this is our little miniature department here. So we have team members. So you can see we got 3 folks assigned as team members to create training content. Diane is the team lead, so she's guiding the team. And then email notification. Diane is also going to get that real-time planning email that will take her right back into this activity to do the update on the activity, or how far along is her team in creating the training content. Over here on the right, FTE, full-time equivalent, typically used during budgeting cycles, or if you're going after grant dollars. What you can do is kind of quantify the human investment in doing each of these activities. So you see we have a 0.1 or 10% of Diane's time and 10% of William's time and 30% of Andrea's time in here dedicated to this particular activity during the time frame of the activity. And if I go back up to the activity level here, you'll see that those 3 roll up to a 0.5 FTE at the activity level, and I can roll it all the way up the pyramid. So if I go to the objective for those 3 activities, it's a 1.0 FTE. So if you take that number and multiply it by your burden cost of labor, if you will, which is, benefits and salary and all that kind of stuff put together, you get a good handle on what the costs are for each activity. And again, you can roll them all up way up the pyramid for the entire program. In addition to internal folks, you can assign external partners. So I click on this button here. And what we're saying is we have partner organizations on the left, and on the right, we have contacts within those organizations. So each organization can have as many contacts as you want. You can have as many organizations. You can assign as many organizations as you want and as many contacts from each organization as you want. So this is the external partner. Fred Erickson of VMSG Dashboard is working with us to create the training content. Now, if you wanted Fred to be the sole person to update this particular activity, maybe Fred is doing video content for you, you can have Fred as a system user, what we call a partner user, which gives him very limited access to go back in and update this particular activity that he's been assigned. So you're not, double stepping it. You're not having Erin get an email and Erin contacts Fred, and then Fred gives her the information, and then she puts the information in the system. It's a waste of time. Let the system do the work for you. So that's our first activity, project-based activity. Our second activity, we're going to take that training content, we're going to go to the schools and provide 9 training sessions each month on the dangers of smoking to students and faculty. Again, we call this a quality assurance activity. It's unique in 2 things. By the way, it's the least used type because it's a specific situation. Number 1, it's something that's repetitive. So in fact, we're doing this every month. And that frequency, we call it, can be set anywhere between weekly and every 5 years. And then the other thing that this one does that the other ones don't do is automatically set the traffic light based on the values you provide. So if we get to our 9 training sessions each month, that light is going to be green. And we picked a number of 6, saying that, hey, that's not good enough. If we get to 6 or less, it's going to be red, and then 7 or 8 will be yellow in here. So it's cyclical, and it automatically sets the traffic lights. Our third activity, we call a quantitative measurement activity. Contact all 20 tobacco vendors within a mile of Wayne High School to ensure they're not selling to minors. Very, very similar to the project-based activity, with the exception that we have a target quantity. That target quantity becomes your denominator when you're calculating how far along we are. So down here, you'll see our actual number is 20 contacts that we've made already, and it's calculating it to be 100% because we have a target of 20. So 20 out of 20 is 100%. If this was 10 tobacco vendors contacted already, then it would be 50%, that sort of thing. So anything that you're counting, it makes sense to use a QM activity because it just makes easier to do all the calculations as you're going. Again, a beginning and ending date, just like the project-based activity, team members, and external partners. So those are the 3 activities that we believe are going to get us to our SMART objective here. And if we go back and look at it in the pyramid, it looks like this. Our group was Tobacco 2025. The initiative we selected of the 3 was tobacco cessation. Of that, we had several goals. We selected reduce smoking in high schools. Under that, we had a couple of SMART objectives. We selected reduce smoking at Wayne High School by 25% by the end of the school year. And then we have the steps we're going to go through to get there. Create the training curriculum, provide the 9 training sessions, contact local tobacco vendors. Now, the reason we selected the pyramid model is because as you get down to the activities, you can have lots and lots of activities. Let me give you an example. Your strategic plan is typically a group within itself. Underneath that, you're going to have what we call the strategic initiatives in there. So the services are initiatives, and typically there's 3 to 7 of them. So let's say we had 4 strategic initiatives. Each of those strategic initiatives had 4 goals. Each of those 4 goals had 4 SMART objectives. Each of those objectives had 4 activities. I think if you do the math, that comes out to be 256 activities down here. So the pyramid can be really, really wide at the bottom down there. So this is our tobacco cessation plan. Now, let's take that plan through the PDCA cycle. The plan is complete. We're all set to go. Let's go ahead and execute the plan. Well, based on all of our assignments, we're going to say that Diane and her team are going to complete the training content. William was our lead for taking the content out to the schools and doing the training. And then Tom is going to go out and contact all those tobacco vendors. And that's where that real-time planning comes in. Each of those folks is going to get an automated email on whatever regular basis you choose. In that email is a link that takes them right back into and only to the specific activities and objectives that they've been assigned to. So they're going to go right back in there and do it. Now, in the best situation, the people who get these emails are the people who are actually doing the activities or managing the objectives. The reason for that is they know the answer off the top of their head. They don't have to go searching or contacting other people. They know the answer. So by doing that, if you set it up this way, you're looking at about a 3 to 5 minute per person per month to keep this information up to date. So it's really an efficient way to collect all that information in the background and keep all your plans moving forward here. Now, the reason we collect all the information in the background is so we can go into the check phase and make it a real simple process. The check phase is really simple. It's comparing the plan to the actual. And if I go back to my plan of reducing smoking at Wayne High School, and I click on this little button right here, it shows me that over time, from when we started the program back in 23, we were at a 0% reduction. And then we slowly ramped our way up until we got to our 25% reduction today. So what this is saying is our plan was 25, our actual 25, everything's working beautifully. And by the way, that's really all there is to doing the check phase if you're collecting all the information in the background. It just makes it so much easier and you can do it in a heartbeat. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, if necessary, we're going to make any adjustments. So in this particular case, plan of 25, actual 25, probably don't want to make any adjustments. So we'll bypass the plan phase here, continue into the execution, check it every once in a while, and just keep this cycle going in here. Now, let's assume for a second that the top of that chart was sitting at 21 and not 25%. Now we got to make a decision. And decision typically is one of two things. Is the plan too high? We just can't get there. If that's the case, we move the plan down to 21, continue through executing, checking, and try to keep it at 21. The other thing we say is, if we added more resources, we could get to that 25% plan. So maybe we're going to do more training sessions. Maybe there's more tobacco vendors out there we didn't know about. Maybe there's a whole nother set of activities we hadn't thought about yet that we could put in there to get to that 25%. Then there's kind of an in-between, and that is, let's take the plan down a little bit, maybe to 23. And let's say if we did more training sessions, we could get to 23. So those are kind of the 4 scenarios, but every plan's going through this cycle all the time. Now, as you guys go through the accreditation process, FAB puts definitive timeframes on each of these plans. So your CHIP and your strategic plan, your CHA are all 5-year cycles here. Now, if this strategic plan is in fact being updated every month by the PDCA cycle, it almost has an infinite life cycle because you've got a new plan pretty much every month. And you're automatically, through the real-time planning, meeting measure 9.1.6, which says people at every level in the department are participating in performance management. So this does that because they're getting the email, they're going back into the performance management system, they're doing their updates in there, they're keeping the plans up to date. So it's kind of a nice kind of a side benefit, if you will. That chart that I showed you was micro level performance monitoring, down at the activity and the objective level. The dashboard itself is called macro level performance monitoring. Let me take you back live there. So everybody who logs in gets taken into their default group. So for today, I'm the community health director, so I go directly to community health when I log in. The nice thing about that is I don't have to navigate anywhere. If I want to see the dashboard for community health, I just click on the traffic light up here in the top right corner. And by doing that, it's going to go in and put together all the data from community health and its immediate subgroups, which are tobacco and WIC. So those will be the groups that will show up on my dashboard screen here. Pardon me. And of course, every time I'm showing it like this, it decides it's going to be slow. So very slow. There we go. Okay, so this is my dashboard. Up here, the homepage button allows me, if I wanted to make this my login homepage. So instead of going to the main menu, navigating around, I can just make this my login homepage. But this is the summary for community health and tobacco and WIC. And it's the number of activities in each status. And you might notice the little click finger here, which means that I can drill down on anything on this screen. So nothing on here that I can't get to the data elements behind it. So if I wanted to see these 3 yellow activities, I could click on it. They're going to appear down there. I can edit them. I can modify them. I can reassign them, whatever I need to do with it here. I can also move up the level in a pyramid to the objectives or the goals. So I can see the traffic lights for any of those 3 levels. This gauge here is showing me how far ahead of or behind schedule am I across all, I think there's 17 activities here. So it says we're 15 days behind schedule, and hence it's yellow. Once you get on schedule, it's green, obviously, and then you get 60 days behind schedule, it's red. So this gives you a good snapshot of how we're doing. Down here at the bottom, we've got a couple different views down here. First of all is my activity leaders. So those folks we assigned as activity leads. We've got the people down here. This first column says, when did they last update their information? And we color coded it just to kind of make it easy to see. If it's green, that means it's less than 30 days ago. Yellow is 30 to 60, and red is over 60 days. If somebody's in the red, it probably means that, either they've been out maybe, or they just haven't had the opportunity to go in there and update it. So you probably want to have a chat with Diane and Tom at this point in time and maybe do a little training with them or something, or let us do the training with them to get them back on track so they can be in the green. Yellow sometimes is okay. Maybe it's just a week overdue and William was out on vacation or something along that line, but gives you a good snapshot of how real time is my data. Remember, we had an FTE number at the activity level. What you don't want to do is assign too many FTEs to a person. If they get over a 1.0 FTE and you're expecting that, you're overloading people here. So that's all this column does, is roll the FTE up by person here. Lagging says I have activities that are calculated to be behind schedule. Beginning date, ending date, percent complete, you do the calculation. This right now says that Diane is 1 day behind schedule across all the activities she's been assigned. Overdue says that I have activities that the ending date of the activity is before today and it's not yet 100% complete. And then the number of red, yellow, green, and gold. So that's view 1. And you can see we have 3 views. Our second view is our groups. And by the way, we go into this in great detail in the performance monitoring training. I'm just kind of giving you the overview today. This column becomes the groups. So in this case, like I mentioned, it would be community health, tobacco, and WIC down this column, and the same basic information over here. And then the third view is priorities. Once you get your strategic plan in the system, we map your strategic priorities from the top level of your strategic plan down to everything else in the system. So basically, through our 3-dimensional planning, we cross-reference everything in the system. So in this case, you'd have the strategic priorities and basically the same data points over here. Top right corner, my priorities. These are just individually selectable objectives that you want to keep your eye on. Remember, objectives are targets. What are we trying to accomplish? Most often, if you're going to put them up here, you're going to have a yellow or a red light on them because they got some kind of issue going on in here. And typically the things either you personally are working on, because these appear only on your login. So either you're working on or your team is working on, and you just want to keep them front and center. You can have as many as you want up here. These lines will scroll forever if you need to. But most people have a couple of them up there, just keeping track of things that I'm, doing with my team here to make sure we're on track here. So this is our dashboard, or our macro level performance monitoring. And as Andrea mentioned, we also have VMSG Mobile. VMSG Mobile is pretty simple. It's the ability to have several of the functions in the dashboard on your phone. So this is the same screen you just saw with the top left corner, bottom, top right on 3 different screens, just due to real estate. But it's not an app that you have to download. Now, a lot of health departments we know have limitations on what you can put on your company phone, if you will. So what we did is made it a dynamic app, meaning it's like your desktop. It builds the app in your web browser on your phone. So you go to the same link as you would on your desktop, same login credentials. It knows it's a phone, and it brings up VMSG Mobile. And these little blue arrows take you between the 3 screens. So you have the same functionality. Everything on here is clickable. I can drill down on anything on here. I can turn my priorities on and off. I can click on my traffic light. Everything I can do on my desktop, I can do on my phone. But if you're one of those folks who's out and about, it's nice to have that available anywhere you go here. Accreditation. We have every accreditation plan known to man built into the system, and you're welcome to any or all of them. If I go back to my tab, so you guys will be heading for, I'm assuming, for FAB full accreditation. So FAB 2022, there's local, state, and tribal, obviously. We also have the pathways plan in there. I call accreditation light. We have the accreditation plan in there. So initially, you'll start out probably with the accreditation plan. We could also put the reaccreditation plan in there for you as well. So after you complete accreditation, you can get started towards a reaccreditation. But if I start drilling down here on the accreditation plan, it starts out with the accreditation process here. And as I start drilling down on the accreditation process, we have preparation, application, document selection. You're going to do a site review. They're going to make a decision. And once you pass, then you're going to go through the reaccreditation. And then each one of these has more and more detail as you go down the pyramid here. Now, when you get down to the domains, it's kind of cool because obviously under the domains are the standards. One of the things that we decided to do was we put as much information as we think you would typically need to meet these standards and measures. But if you want to have the horse's mouth, if you'll get right back to the FAB documentation, we put all the FAB standards links back in here. So this links right back to the FAB website and to standard 1.1 documentation. So here it is. So you don't have to really go anywhere. You don't have to go searching. This document, by the way, if you look, is 315 pages long. So it's nice to be able to go right to the point that you need to at the documentation. Underneath the standards are the measures here. And this is where the documentation typically comes in. So in this case, we're saying measure 1.1.1a says develop a community health assessment. The required document is one community health assessment dated within 5 years. Document management is built into the system. Here's the 3 documents that are attached to this particular measure. If I click on that, it by default shows you the latest version, but I can go in and say, show me all the versions here. So what you have is typically a yellow is a draft, and you can have as many drafts as you want. The green would be we as the department have completed the community health assessment, and then the gold would mean that we have submitted it up into the EFAB system. So by using the built-in document management, by the way, there's no limits on size or type or any number of documents you want to have. We don't put any of those limits on there for you. So what you're doing is you're able to kind of track through the process. And then you can go in as an administrator, you can go into the main menu, and there's a document management that allows you to say, show me all the documents in the entire accreditation plan. And it'll show you the latest version of all of them. If they're all gold, hey, you're set to go. If there's some green in there, that means, oops, we forgot to upload this one into the EFAB system here. So all that's built in. Going back to the measure here. Now, by the way, believe it or not everybody knows what is in a community health assessment. So we took it down to the next level. The activities are FAB's 7 requirements for a community health assessment. The first one here is a list of participating partners. And you can see attached here is that list of participating partners. So a lot of people will do is they'll go through the requirements down here. That should give them pretty much everything they know or everything they need to build the community health assessment. Then they build the community health assessment, attach it to the measure, and away you go. To get you started on this, what we'll ask you to do is tell us when you're planning on submitting final documentation. Most often we move this up by about a month, so a month ahead of that time to give you a little breathing room in there. You can pick a beginning date. It could be today or anything you want it to be in here. Then you're going to go to the domains, and you're going to say, who are the domain leads? Who have you assigned to be the primary person on each domain? And we'll take and push that name all the way down to the objective lead and the activity lead. So now by the time that comes around, you've got the dates in there, you got the objective and activity leads, you turn on the real-time planning, and the whole automation process takes place. Everybody who's assigned as a lead, and by the way, they can reassign their activities and that sort of thing as well. But they're going to start getting those automated email notifications to go in and say, hey, it's time to do your community health assessment, whatever it happens to be in there. So all of that is kind of built in for you. This has got its own dashboard. We talked about the dashboard. If I select the plan as a group and hit the dashboard button, it gives me a dashboard specifically for accreditation. So you know exactly where you are in the process. You can generate a web page around it to share with your public. You can have a report that's ungodly long report. I think it's got 170 activities or something like that in there. So again,
Fred,
yes.
are we able to assign more than one lead? Because like we have a couple of domains where they're like being partnered by people.
Well, the objective is a single person. So you're going to figure
Okay,
who's number one. And then at the activity level, you can have as many people assigned as you want.
cool.
Yeah, what we'll do is typically we'll push the main person all the way down, and then you'll go in on those particular instances and manually assign the other people in there. And it's a simple process to do. So, okay, let's go back to here. Now, I don't know if you guys are planning on doing this or not, but a lot of people will do what they call a mock site visit before they do their final fab site visit. And basically, what it is you're hiring an expert to come in, review everything that you've done, and make sure you're ready for your final site visit so you don't have any chance of not passing your site visit. During COVID, as you recall, a lot of health departments worked from home. People were not traveling. There was all kinds of things going on, obviously, and they couldn't do a lot of mock site visits. But there was a lot of people still trying to get through the accreditation process, believe it or not. So what we did is we built a virtual mock site visit. So you're going to go into the system. You're gonna pick the person. We're going to give them permissions. We're going to teach them how to do it, and then we're going to allow them to go through your accreditation plan. There's a review button on the activity screen. They're going to pop that open. It gives them notes fields. It gives them traffic lights. They can go in here and review everything that you've done, including every document. And when they're done, there's a report that gets generated called the Accreditation Review Report. And on that report shows everything you have and every note and everything that they have. And you can kind of slide down through it, compare it, and say, everything's green and gold, we're ready to go. Or, oops, they marked a red on here. Oh, our strategic plan will be expired by the time we go through there, whatever it happens to be. So anyhow, this is all built in as well if you decide to go that route. And by the way, FAB does now have a document on mock site visit. So it kind of defines the process for a mock site visit. This just allows you to do it remotely. So what we just went through is, again, what we call the core functionality of the VMSG dashboard. Here's what most people do when they're going in your process going through accreditation. You're going to start out with the FAB 6-pack of plans. Most people start with their strategic plan and work the rest of them in there. We're here to help you to do that. If you send us your strategic plan, we'll get it started for you. We'll pop open a GoToMeeting and show you how to finish it up. If we do it that way, typically it takes you an hour to get your strategic plan in there. So it's a simple process.
Our strategic plan is actually like the last one of our plans. We're actually going to have to go in and reintegrate a lot of our strat plan information into our current existing plans.
Okay.
But that's be coming in July-ish, fingers crossed. However, I do have like our CHA, I have our EOP and our CHIP and our workforce development plan are currently drafted but should be published by the end of this month.
Okay.
If I send those to you ahead of time, is that something that can be utilized? It's not going to double up on work as far as like adding things into the book. Cool.
Nope. You send me when you get your plans published. Send them my way. I'll get them started for you. Get them in there. We'll pop open a GoToMeeting. I'll walk you through what I've done. Here's the next steps. Here's how you assign people. Here's how you're going to assign the dates and the status and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, once you get it started, it's a simple process. Like I say, each of these plans, once I get it started for you, it'll take you an hour to get them in there. And
awesome.
And that's then you got everything ready. Okay, so you're going to start out with those plans or whatever plans you want to do. You can put anything you want in there. Using the accreditation plan that I just showed you, and turning on real-time planning to automate the process. Everybody, the 240 some odd health departments using the system have gotten fully demonstrated for performance management by FAB. So we know that it works. We've been doing it for a long time, and we're happy to sit here and help you to get through that entire process as you go. In addition to the accreditation, we hope you'll see all the other cool features in the system that help you to do anything else in the department. Anything you can plan and execute, you can put into the system. And by the way, there's no limitations. We know some of our competitors have limitations on the number of things that you can put in there. We don't have any of that kind of stuff. Have as much as you want to go in there. So this is the basic system that I wanted everybody to kind of understand. Next thing I'm going to do is go through a couple of the other features that are in there, just kind of an overview before we get into the next trainings. I'm going to go through a little bit more on the real-time planning and the quick update system. So anybody who's just going to be doing updates based on the emails after today will really have everything they need to do it. Anybody who's going to be inputting plans, developing plans, will go through the rest of the training systems here. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the additional features. This, believe it or not, as simple as it is, has become the most popular feature in the system. We've had document management in there forever, primarily for accreditation. But one of our health departments in Michigan came to us and said, hey, and we got a problem we think you can help us solve here. And that is we need to manage all of these critical documents, and we need to manage them on a time frame. So what we did is we built a function in there that actually does exactly that. So let me take you down to, here's a group called critical documents. Pardon me. Underneath there, we break it down into policies, standard operating procedures, memos of understanding, grant documents. You could also put FAB documents or anything else you wanted down in here. As we start breaking policies down, we get down to manage and update administrative policies, manage and update healthcare policies, and as many of these as you want to have. Underneath that, we get a little bit more specific. Update the department administrative policies each fiscal year. You get down to the activity level. So we have the update the department 24/7 coverage policy. This is a QA activity, the repetitive activity. We're going to set it for an annual cycle. We're going to set the beginning date to the beginning of the fiscal year. We're going to put in there what we call a percent to yellow. In this case, we put 90% to yellow. So what happens is going through the year, it'll keep our timeline up to date over here. As we get to 90% of the way through the year, which is about 10 and a half months, so kind of mid-May, the light's going to turn yellow. When the light turns yellow, Andrea is going to get that email from real-time planning from the system with a link back into this particular activity. The document is attached right here. She'll click on that. She'll download the latest version of the 24/7 coverage policy. She'll do her updates. She'll update the version again with the same file name. It'll do automatic version control, so you'll have version 3 up there. She'll go back into here. She'll save this. When she saves it, it's going to say, do you want to update the cycle start date to the next fiscal year? She'll say yes, and it'll move it up to 7/1 of 25. The process is complete. It'll do that for every document that you have. The other benefit of that is at the group level here, you can assign permissions. So anybody who needs to use those documents just for what they're meant to be used for, not update them, they're not responsible for updating them. They just need to be able to get to them. You can give them read-only access to this group. They can go down through and use those documents. They can download them. They can't upload new versions. They can't edit them or anything else, but they can actually use them. And they're all in a very organized structure. So you can do that. The people who are going to be actually doing the updates will have edit access. So they'll be able to go in and download the documents, do the updates and all that kind of stuff. So, again, that's a cool feature to be able to use to manage critical documents across the entire department here. Lots and lots of reports. We go into this in performance monitoring training, every report, no demand. VMSG Public is creating those public-facing web pages, again, around any plan elements in the system, anywhere from groups all the way down. Three-dimensional planning is the ability to go across all the different plans with commonalities, gaps, overlaps, and that sort of thing. So you're going to map your strategic plan, for instance, against every other plan in the system. And you can map anything. You can build your own, what we call categories and subcategories to map. There's a bunch of standard public health stuff in there, but again, you can do anything you want to do with it here. Let's talk a bit more about real-time planning. And this is kind of where we're going to talk about how to log in, how to use the quick update system, etc. So, pardon me. Most people set this for a monthly cycle. You have your choice anywhere between daily and monthly, and you can have it multiple times during the month, whatever. Let's say we have it set for the first Monday of the month. First Monday of the month at 1 a.m. in your time zone, California, the system goes in and it looks at everybody that you assigned as an objective lead or an activity lead. Then it's going to ask 3 questions about that person. Number 1, has this person been in the last 30 days and updated their stuff? Number 2, does this person have anything that has fallen behind schedule? And number 3, does this person have anything that's overdue past the ending date? If none of those are true, no spam to that person. If any of them are true, out go the emails. Emails, again, can go to internal folks as well as designated external partners. The only people who get these emails are those folks who are designated as objective leads or activity leads. So when they log in, being designated there, they're going to get an option. And the option is to go to the main menu or go to quick update. If they select quick update, there's two screens. Activities quick, and I'm going to take you live in here in a minute. Activities quick update and objectives quick update. The top of the screen is merely context, so it's the top of the pyramid. And it says, I have one of 29 activities I'm going to update today. Now at the bottom, there's only 3 fields to update. Cycle through my traffic lights, put in my data value, so I did 9 training sessions this month. If I want to put a note in there, if I want to time and date stamp the note, I can put that in there. I have access to that data source down here. Where am I going to go get the information to update it in here? And this is my save and next button. So I'm going to go through my activities. There's a similar screen for objectives. I'm going to go through those. And about 5 minutes later, I'm going to log out for the month. So this is the way that most people will keep their information up to date. And you're not asking much. You're asking, again, for 5 minutes a month to keep the information up to date so that you guys have real-time information to work with. Now, the email that you'll get will look like this. Those are the 3 criteria I mentioned. This is kind of an FYI. For all the activities you personally have been assigned, here's the traffic light status. Your administrators, so Aaron, you'll appear on here. Anybody else that you want to assign as an org admin will appear on here. Just, if you have any questions, it doesn't seem to be working right, whatever it happens to be, they'll come to you first. If there is an issue, you come to us and we'll take care of it. And then here's the link. This link takes you right back into logging into the VMSG dashboard. So I'm going to walk you through the login process 2 ways. Number one, just a set of bullets here, show you what to do. Then I'm going to go live and actually do it for you here. So first step is the link, login.vmsgdashboard.com. You can also, by the way, just go to vmsgdashboard.com, the homepage for the dashboard. In the top right corner, there's a link. There's already a system user. Click here, take you back to here. You're getting a little dialog box, and the leftmost button is send, which means send to me my login credentials. You'll click on that. You'll enter your email address, click send again. Hopefully you'll receive a dialog that says, success, we found your stuff, we sent it to you. That email goes out, by the way, right away. So if you don't get it in the next couple of minutes, check your spam folder. If you don't get a success dialog, if you get something else, warning or error, or it just doesn't show anything, please contact us. We'll get you fixed up. And then there's a button in the middle of the screen. Again, I'm going to go through this live. Login button. You're going to click on that. You're going to get that same dialog box you got first. This time, you're going to enter the user ID or your email address. Either one works as your user ID if you don't want to remember a new user ID. And then you're going to enter your password, and you're going to click login. So that's the entire process to get logged in here.
Miranda and Selena, if you guys haven't done that yet, it's a really easy process. I did it last week just to make sure everything was clear for everybody before I sent it out to folks. But yeah, it was very, very easy.
Awesome. Okay. The email that you get with your credentials, again, looks like this. It just has your user ID and password. And again, if you don't want to remember a new user ID, substitute your email address in there. What I do recommend is copying this password because it's system made, and it can have all kinds of crazy characters in there. So copy it, paste, or highlight it, copy it so that you got it in your buffer. And then when you go in, you'll paste it in for your password just to make sure that you're reading it right, because I've had that problem myself before. So let's go back through now, and actually, I'm going to go back to my main menu. This button up here, the top right button, the red one, is log out. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. Of course I want to log off. I just said I did. Okay. This is the home page for the VMSG dashboard. Here's that link I was talking about. Already a user, click here. So I'll log in here. It's going to take me back to the login. And there we go. Okay, so again, username or email address, password. First thing you're going to do if you don't have that is hit the send button. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put in my email address. I'm going to hit send again. Hopefully I'll get the success dialog. There it goes. So that says I found your stuff and I sent you the email. Okay, I'm done with that. I'm going to hit the login button again, which will bring back that same dialog. This time I'm going to put in, again, either my username or email address. I would paste that password in there that you copied off of the email and then hit login. Okay, so this indicates that I am a designated objective or activity lead. So it says, do I want to go to the main menu, which is where we've been all day? Do I want to go to quick update? Let's go ahead and select quick update. Quick update just takes me to the specific objectives and activities that I have been assigned to. So here's the top of the pyramid: group, service, initiative, goal, objective, activity 1 of 2. And then down here again, I can cycle through my traffic light. I can put in a data value. I can put in a note. I can time and date stamp the note here. I have my data source if it's available with the link down here. So I can update this, go to the next one. Oops. So activity number 2 of 2. After I update this one, I'll click it again. And it says you're also an objective lead. Let's go to the objective quick update screen. Hit objectives. And it's going to have a very similar screen with the objective where it belongs, kind of above the activity up here. So up here again, we have the group, service, goal, the objective. Again, 3 fields: traffic light, data value, notes field, time and date stamp, your data source, and the activities that report up to that objective appear below it. The one in blue is the one we just went through, meaning it's assigned to me as well. So I've already updated it. Don't need to worry about it. The ones in gray would indicate that I have probably assigned them to somebody else on my team. Maybe that person's out on vacation. I want to update them. I can click on them and I can update those myself as well here. And then I'm going to hit the next button that says I'm on 1 of 1. It's going to allow me to log out. Now you'll notice up here at the top, this little key button, the first time you get here, you probably want to change that password. Again, it's going to be a cryptic password, so put whatever you want in there. I'll click the key button. I will again paste from, Control V, by the way, is paste. So I'll paste that password in there, put in whatever new password I want, verify it like every other website in the world, hit update, and I've got my new password in there. If you want to attach documents or look at the documents for any of these objectives or activities, it's right here. So I've got the document management screen available to you up here. I can go to the main menu here. I can log off, help and information. Now, let's go back to the main menu here and go back to services initiative. So one other thing, quick updates available on your phone. So here's my story. I'm driving into the office on the morning. It's the first Monday of the month. I decided to stop at Starbucks and grab a coffee. So I grab my coffee, sit down at the table, pop open my phone. Here's the email from VMSG. Let's go ahead and get this taken care of here. Click on the link, log in, go to quick update my activities over here. Again, notes, traffic light, data value, obviously with your finger. In this case, you're doing that. When you're done with those, you go to the objectives, notes, data value, traffic light, next. Then you're going to log out and you're done for the month. So kind of a convenient feature if you're out and about somewhere. Now, in addition to all the training and everything else, you got a lot of built-in stuff here. We try to make it as simple as possible. I'm on my service initiative tab right here. If I have any questions about how do I add one of these, how do I remove one, what do all these buttons do down here, what are the check boxes all for, the only thing I need to do is go to the blue eye. Click on that. It's context sensitive, so it took me right to where I came from, adding and managing services initiatives. If you're like me, if you're left brain, this is just the step-by-step process to go through everything. In addition, every button who's on the screen is defined down here in detail. So what does the button do and how do you use it, as opposed to just a rollover with the button on it. Down here, we have a video training module specifically on adding and managing services initiatives. It's about 5 minutes long. It's same thing here, but it's just in a video format. This is the entire user guide. If you want to print it out, if you want to just dock it on your desktop, it is a hyperlinked PDF, meaning the table of contents is all linked, so you can click anywhere and go anywhere in the document. This is a implementation guidelines document. For you guys, I would highly recommend that everybody goes through and reads this document through. It's stuff we've collected over the many, many years we've been doing this from clients. So what works best? What doesn't work so well? What kind of IT issues have I seen on here? What kind of templates have I created to help do this? What types of people seem to take to a system like this the best? What types of people take a little bit more encouragement to get to a system like that? So lots and lots of good information in there. It's worth reading over as you're getting ready to roll it out to everybody in there. Top left corner up here, these top 5 links are training modules. They're video training modules. If you go through all 5 of them, it's about 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 15 minutes, I think. But the intro is what we're doing today, so you can skip over that. Basics is kind of defining every screen and every button on there. You can do that if you want to. These again we're going to be doing the training all live, but there's some people who just like to do e-learning kind of in the background. So they're all available right here. All the training modules are there. Again, we're going to go over them live, but if you want to do it or if you don't have the chance to be on a training, they're right there available to you in there. And I believe That was your drink out of a garden hose for the day. Ta-da.
Thank you so much, Fred. I really appreciate you taking the time today. And I really appreciate you recording this.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure I will have questions, but I'm going to definitely need to let the material sit for a minute.
Well, I'll tell you what, anytime you have any questions, just pop me an email. I'm happy to pop open a GoToMeeting and walk you through all this stuff.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna close the recording off. I will put it up on YouTube and send you a link.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay, any questions? Anybody else want to say anything else?
Just
Nope.
thank you for taking the time to do this.
My pleasure. You guys have a wonderful day, okay?
Thank you so much, Fred.
Thanks.
Bye.